So it's a Saturday, so we would just continue on the same conversation. But today, you know, Mediamo Damodara Daming is to tell you explicitly the people that frame the United Democratic Party. Because case was before the court, and we had to let the court, you know, take precedence and allow the process to go on. Now that the court is done, and of course the fabricators and the liars and the criminals intend to go to an appeal court, of course they have a right to an appeal. But based on the judgment that Justice Jada delivered, it's high time that we mention explicitly the criminals and the fabricators. Yo, wolo kono molbe jemini alonko president obadi ngolomu. Wolo kono mo jamabe je police lomu wolati. Abe wolo kono fanang we will examine facts on their investigations. Kulla mini alonko ala alon kila alo wolo man taku wolo mo tilimbali alati, and then the conclusion would be the government of the Gambia killed the cops. The market dalilu dalilu kanama ke political tilimbaliani tajidinte yate. Where we are going to start this conversation today from is Barrow, Musa Kamara, Mama Jabi, Ibu Sow, Commissioner Sow, Yorosedi, and Babu Jeng, and Impate Jallo. This conversation will be focused on those names. Why would we want to focus it on those names? These are very key people in this particular matter. You know, we would have to publicly apologize to them because we felt they probably did some wrongs, when in reality they did really nothing. But a Kabering Useno Tata, or before Useno Betala, Useno had a case that's a blackmail case. Atata mi report police oya mi alonko Gambia mobe sontaloko. He knows how to conduct investigation, and he has got several breakthroughs. And wale atina kabiring atofa da nyin case to dro moja mako auto Useno lonkatu nyimu molete mi alonko abuka dadun kudo mi alonko investigation or mi alonko, you know, they are chala. But later on we realized that it's either this person was complicit in this whole matter or decided to do otherwise. But today we will put that on the table and have a critical look at things as they happened. Kabering mama jabi kate Useno bojanne mutakasa mas. Mama e momi follow kumandi ala telefonotu. Wala mu korka baroti. Korka baro wala mu Adama Barrow bare musoti. Mama e korka baro la follow kumandi. And then the proper investigation, now I am taking you, directing you to where to investigate. Ning ayata rakoto nyan intilong alafta walla. Go and get Mama's call logs, and then, you know, I kumandiro ke korka barola tumo minna nin lungo minna nin kasa masu number mimu. Alta ali korka barola telefono ta. Ali ajibe for Mama Jabi ya kumandile a day after this incident, Fama kumandi. Mama e korka barola kumandi ka fayo ko nyinni mo karentang wala mutajang. Korka baro e mama ni atenata dingo kumandi mimu Musa Kamara te membe doku wala jiare. Go and connect if Korka baro ning Mama Jabi la call nyolu o call la for Korka baro ni Musa Kamara mandiamu, and Musa Kamara then connected to Mama Jabi, and then Musa Kamara mimu president wala nephew was the person who called the commissioner of anti-crime Momodu Sow. Now to verify these things or to think either I'm lying or I'm telling the truth, go and get the call prints of Momodu Sow, Korka baro, and Musa Kamara, and Mama Jabi. You would easily know where this whole thing lies. Mama Jabi called Korka Barrow. Korka Barrow ya dingo kumandi Musa Kamara, mimo president wala nephew. Musa Kamara called the commissioner of anti-crime, Momodou Sow. Momodou Sow did not contact the police investigators and in police ulla mol mini alonko wolle ka kuoli jibe no mini alonko wolle be den tapalian in tilimbaliala. He picked a couple of his boys and went with them to Casamas and in Musa Kamara to go and get Useno Boja. So DIG coming from Tolio courts no use Walda Bota Gelede. Ning commissioner of anti-crime is one of the leading criminals in this case. That is Momodou Sow. Momodou Sow should be arrested. Korka Barrow should be arrested. Musa Kamara need to be arrested. But Musa Kamara ning Korka Barrow wolmu Adama Barrow la badi ngolati. Awulu dingol lomiti. So wodo Adama Barrow man senaya ni koto. Mama Jabi called Korka Barrow mi alonga ka tere kanun teolom. But kabira nata kiti bungota kama Korka Barrow long. But Mama's first call to the Gambia in Casamas was to Korka Barrow, and that could easily be verified from what court printouts. And Korka Barrow called her son. Kabira adingo kumandi adingo nata Momodou Sow of anti-crime command. Wanata police in Ningolo mobilized and in Musa Kamara. They went to Casamas and arrested Usenu Boya. But ya Usenu arrest to mo minna. Ene Usenu natana. Babu Jang. Mi ya lonko UDP nkolo ba foka nunka kela mulu buti anim pate jallo. Babu Jang ne tumiro la UDP kan. UDP nkolo waral salon de. Nyim Babu Jang kabirun tumo ko damuta lali ya folo ko nyim manke mo kendo and wala muto nyate mo kendente. Babu Jang ko this person ya mim muta tenting was the guy in hoodie at the UDP court case in Banjul. Babu Jang ne ofo. Ata kama jala wala tele afo. Babu Jenne tumiro la UDP gang. And everything the police and Sankare told us was never from the investigation. It was his mindiata te tilimbalian in tajidinte yaka te wolafo. And police yole wolafo mindiate tolie wolafo. So Babu Jeng no moti mi ya long kwa tumiro deng UDP la kafo ko nyim mari de nyim mutanan tenting. He was the person in hoodie at that UDP court case. The reason why they actually relied on that is because Babu Jeng was at that court case ka UDP ko bute. UDP ko murunta ka fa Babu Jeng benjole tole. Nyim Babu Jeng kin wala murunta ko tenka ko Usenu Bojan no woti mi ya long ko he's a security to Yankuba Dabo, and of course he's the guy in hoodie. So UDP ko Babu Jenne tumiro lato lo kan ka fo ko Usenu Bojan be do ko la UDP la and UDP ko la na tele hoodie dong kata yo sute wotole. Kata tele be ka UDP ko bute nyim Babu Jeng. But one would wonder, what is Babu Jeng's interest in this case? Because Babu Jeng is one of the two that the UDP was complaining about at the time. So it is the same Babu Jeng that actually turned around because UDP was complaining about him and actually claimed that, of course, this person works for the United Democratic Party. But let's come to the investigation. Put aside Babu Jeng, Korka Barrow, Musa Kamara, ni moko tangol mini alonko. Ye found ke ko itolong investigator to wale itolong multi mini alonko itonya alon yukor. Yinlo multi adama la masakunda nyanta min kumandila. Ye investigate thoroughly and of course bring them to accountability. But he will not do that because these are the president's family members. So president wala family mambo nyunku kono ala tapale ya nin tilimbali ya nin bataro min tamata je president wala family ya kulo njele because president wala family was directly involved and no abe wala kono president o bare muso Korka Barrow mi ya fo min he was actually hosting Mama Jabi and Korka min kumande min nim police wala nim Momodou Sow na la nin tilimbali boy so tata Casamas wala mo nim Musa Kamarati. But again, let's examine anti-crime la nyim boss. Yalo nyim police will not muta. In the normal policing language, all they tell you is you have the right to be silent, or anything that you may say might be used against you in a court of law. There is nowhere, no ani mo nyama to ta fole ko police okay dundala moto kono la start ke interrogate. Police don't do that. If they are to effect an arrest on you, they arrest you, they expect you to be silent until you got to the point of investigation. But this is not what happened here. Nye mim fontole wala nyindeko ateye usien dundala moto kono la reda mala be moto kono ateye wonyi nenga wakate ko antela barata nyunkuja usifala wonyom fanyane na mansodo. So this person who is the head of anti-crime in the Gambia not only amara ko be criminal moto la nyinula nyinna famu criminal wala famu kuntio de nyimbanko ka, and he is the head of anti-crime. Wala nankale ko Gambia has people who are in our uniform who are the masterminds of criminality and banditry in this country, and among them is this Momodou Sow. nim Mamadou Sow balanta al momo police olu atol memo investigate al Mamadou Sow la nombalta aliete samba to actually check his call printouts because wol buka fan yafo for Musa Camara mang Mamadou Sow call on the day of this day after this incident ka fay ko mama kate mola motajana and then it will ni Musa tara nyindula kata nyin kamawto. Let Korka bring her phone and then you look at the number that called her from Kasamas Katandi ko nyinni bekeri. And then when they brought Usieno Samba Kasamba investigation bulade, Usieno Sambala to the crime scene because min quite a wala nyinto. Look, people now talk to Usieno directly. Min quite a wala nyinto Usieno bonin and Kasamas, ina naran and Kasamba crime scene to her Jannong, and then took him to his house, Kirib Kara Be Fanya Kensen, and then they came out to actually lie to the nation. Everything they told us was not from the investigation. The people that organized the press conference, none of them was part of that investigation. So many investigate were not part of the press conference. And everything that was told to the nation was a lie because it was not coming from the investigation. But when the state had its 13 witnesses, the people who were investigating the matter, actually was an investigator into this matter. Ibu Soda minor all of Enanje, and Ibu Sobara Tamin Naninku Bekon to format Useno Bojan's phone. But the police, in their wisdom and in their manipulations, often they refer to some people so saying police every time I'm constantly mentioning this guy's name, there is this guy that Usain went to and reported his case to, Yorosedi. Yorosedi, now with the list before me of the personnel, paramilitary personnel that went to Casamas to get Usain Oboja, Yorosedi's name is not there. What Yorosedi was not part of the team that went to Casamas to actually get Usain Oboja. And this is a person that most Gambians believe that he has, a lot of credibility when it comes to breakthroughs in investigation. And don't think a police will call no commando no. Yoro is a very credible person. I don't know why you think that he did this, he did that. But at the time, we understood that this Yorosedi and Usain Oboja had some issues to discuss about a problem that Usain was going through. And for Yoro to be part of that investigation, and then, for the script to be torn this way, Nata Fahamko, Yara Fang, all that we have been told, okay, Karanyol Ning Karanyol Lebenyundula, Yara Fang anti-crime Nila Molu da Malle Tata, Kazamas to get this person. Why did they not involve seasoned investigators into the matter? Why was the press conference organized by just senior police officers without the credible personnel who were involved in the investigation? Where is the investigation report? Mr. President, police all kumandia for your investigation report or dealer. It is sonna wala because ila dimbaya dadunda jele. So your family was involved in the in the criminal plot altogether. The president's family was directly involved in the criminal plot against the United Democratic Party. And you told him miniake wala nyimbabu jenti. Babu Jenno Nyinti, the commissioner of anti-crime, is the biggest criminal in the Gambia. So if you want to ask us the question to say that J. Dabo need to tell us what he knew about the case or the people that did it, go and bring the call logs of anti-crime la boss. Bring that of Musa Kamara, bring that of presidency, sister Korka Barrow. And then when you connect all those dots, you will know where all this script and this framing and these fabrications are coming from. So the police, we will now lead the investigations into this matter, and then we will name your names one after the other. So Babu Jeng itele ufanyala UDP Nkoloka. UDP Nkola lisa lonko Babu Jenne afoko Useno Bojambe do kola Brikama area council. Babu Jenne afoko Useno Bojane hudi dung during the Yankuba Dabu court case. Babu Jenne afoko this person ate was shootela wolo motemi alonko abenu Yankuba Dabu dala. So what alisa alonko police will do be wala mantara do kola Gambia wala be do kola Fangole wala be do kola NPP le wala mantara Tonya intino tamande kanyimbankoka. Because if I will not mention all the people who were involved in this investigation. But I do know that this Yorosedi of a person was involved. And we also do know that Babu, this other person, Ibu Sow was involved in the investigation. Or Ibu Sow, atela tauta was in telephone format. But then these other people, anti-crime, and we know that, the head of anti-crime, Momodu Sow was involved in the investigation. So where is the investigation report? Because for Momodu Sow to come to court and say, police but I have when we are bringing him from Jululu. But Momodu Sow was part of the investigation. What came out of the investigation, and where is the investigation report? Because whatever the police said in their press conference is not what actually came out of the investigation. So where is the investigation report, and why didn't Momodu Sow rely on the investigation report than to come to court and lie? So muni atina muna atebula fani afola kato Momodu Sow momi atebula kata wodula o manke police tin mi ya bula kata oseno arrest nang is basically the president's nephew. Atefi atebe do ko la president olay. President lafta minna draw itol be bara la walla. Alifa changatanga wake. Alkari nyol arrest ngatanga wake. So mini ya lonko yal dingolo fa. You need to collaborate with the public to investigate the death of your children, because the system will not do it, because the system killed your children. And now we've got to the point that we have to mention their name explicitly and the roles they play in this whole plot. So we now ask the question, why will Musa Kamara call a commissioner of anti-crime for this person to mobilize his boys to actually run to Casamas, get an Usainu Bojang from somewhere, just for his boys to turn around Kafuko? They were using codes to get the person. So why? And again, we know that Usainu had some issues and was talking to one of these police officers, and those people were part of the investigation. Why didn't the police bring those people as their witnesses in court? Because they claim, the system told us that they were the ones investigating the case, but the investigators did not come to court to testify. And the few that came there was Ibu Sowning, Commissioner Sow. But Commissioner Sow, you mean following in the Katema for Kabirim Benny investigate Kang. Akatela Moto Kona Kabiri Kanyambon and Casamas, where Fate Walla to Katele police over. But Antolanga Alonoko police will book more interrogate in his vehicle at the point of arrest, because that is completely out of it. There is no way a police officer will start to interrogate or ask you questions in his vehicle. And then how could he do that at Manyala? We asked them to give us the list of the people that went to arrest this person, so that we could subpoena all of these people. But a manson ko list of intindi. But being alone, everybody who actually traveled with Commissioner Sow to Casamas. Lumbe Sila, all of you will sit at another commission, and of course you will be inquired. And I'll be to of intindilale. So we cannot trust a security system that is built on lies, manipulation, and deceit. My fear is nobody is safe in the Gambia when you have the biggest bandits and criminals in uniform. Even though we have the greatest of people in there. And then because they were never actually part of it. But let's just pin it at the kind of persons they told us were involved in the case or in the investigation. Now, investigation okono. They never came to court to actually, testify. But the people that the government used as witnesses, they were never in any way called to be interrogated by the police. So Nim police will interrogate, how did they end up getting these people as witnesses? Because police will commanded to interrogate them here and there. It was later that they brought them to actually make sure they write statements that tally with what they wanted. And so President Onyanta Bari Muso commanded, the sister of the president need to be arrested. Mama Jabi need to be arrested. The president's nephew need to be arrested. Commissioner Sow need to be arrested. Babu Jeng need to be arrested. Among other people, former DIG Sow need to be arrested. Nia will arrest ni pareta. Interrogate them. Arrest the 3 military witnesses. Arrest the ballistic examiner. Nia will arrest the wrong ninku bebe banali. Tonya nintingo be fintilal. Pareta wakelat. Kanto jalole singo be foramokam. A criminal matter, in a criminal matter, you might mean get a bankoka, President wala su konon kol toka foje. Except for this case. We have seen the police actually made several breakthroughs, but you've never in our lifetime heard of the president's family getting involved in such matters. Why is this one so special? So Mama Jabi and the president's family knew what exactly they were cooking. So we all need to focus our attention on, and then of course continue to pressure the government to call Mama Jabi, Ibu Sow commission, because Ibu Sow ite mundali le fon sodo ka usino bojana telephone format. So it becomes a court of public opinion that the public now compels government to actually do right by arresting members of the president's family who were complicit in this matter, and of course said things many alonko itolu da malebe contact within the period to coordinate, and of course tell this person do this, do that. Abe wala kona this Musa Kamara, ana President Obare Muso Korka, ani Mama Jabi, ani Commissioner Sow, Ibu Sow, ani Babu Jeng. So Babu Jeng atele 2-year-old de UDP wala. UDP wala kuota ata nata. UDP ning Babu Jeng ning pata jallo le problem oso. Bara nyim Babu Jeng atele wulita ago senu mu UDP kolcha ko senu le hudi dung atele usute. Babu Jeng ne off. Ataka majala atele yaf. Andung ela usenu muto amanke ko yo hani code killing a use. If you want to verify that, go and get the numbers of Commissioner Sow. I got them. I will not read somebody's telephone numbers over here. Go and get Commissioner Sola number. Yes, somebody ala called log sol ninjibe. Iba jala loko Musa Kamara le akumandi walungala. And also ye Musa Kamara la call log sol jibe. Iba jala loko Korka Barrow le ate kumandi. And ye Korka Barrow ta jibe. Iba loko Mama Jabi la ate kumandi. And that is the chain. That is the long chain of bandits and criminals that actually operated in this case. And wolo multimini alonko ni wala arrested wrong to nyabe lonnale. Bara bawo ni mansa kundabe siri nganu president la fela pora tala dimbayal yemalu andu abadim kono wala tinaka afo ko atol ni ko senu nyolo mandu kudunte, and then they have no business whatsoever together. But then he has every business with his own family members' involvement. Why isn't he doing the right thing? So that means the president knew something about the killing of the cops, and his government is complicit in the killing of the cops. So the Mansakundale police will fire me for the Lilica Namanke politicote. Babu Jen tone, and of course said that of course it was the UDP, and Babu Jenne Okumakam of Katuko at a Conantiala about any UDP tema. Katu Wolebe Wurukan Kafako Babu Jen Benjo later. So Babu Jen is one of the main suspects in this case who need to be investigated thoroughly. Babu Jenda Manten, and in the Commissioner of Anti-Crime, needs to be investigated and of course thoroughly. These are the people that masterminded this banditry and criminality, and of course, the gruesome murder of innocent souls who did them no wrong. While they are actually conniving with members of the family of the president. Simply and squarely because they are against the United Democratic Party. If who forget wrong, but the only truth to this matter is that. And they relied on people who have credibility within the system. Kafoko karenyo lebenyim ko jibeka. Bara wolina naman nakiti bungoro kafoko moro nyinkedante nyala wala nganyilonje wala manyilonje. Why did the police not involve its own investigators in court? Why didn't they bring them as witnesses to the case? Because it told who investigate. Where are the investigators? So investigators fanambe told killing Safelajan, and we will let the whole world know all the people who were involved in that investigation and how that investigation was done and how they criminally connived to frame Usain Obojang. And then at the end of the day, told be backseater kabiri yela kebale ila falo moye faniavo. They all were shocked and surprised that why would the leadership of the police come out to lie about the death of their own men. Yan lo mukulis na Minnesota. Because Hussein went to a police officer called Yoroseidi to explain a problem, which was clear that this person has a problem. Now Wokola inata murum kotenge yin kansifa la walla, and then they turn around and bring on all those people as the people who are investigating the matter. But the police never brought all those people to testify in court. None of those people came there except for a criminal olumini alonko abe olokono wolom Momodu Sow of anti-crime ani Ibu Sow. All the malabeji. But again, I ask you the question, who was the lead investigator in this matter? Because that's not Ibu Sow. Who was heading the investigations on Usain Obojang on matters relating to the killing of the cops? Who are the seasoned police investigators in the Gambia who were involved in this case and who came to court to testify? None. But muni atinna ibu soye usinubo jana telephone format. Muni atinna DIG so ko itolye courts nyola use when in reality mama jabile korkabaro kumandi korkabaro nata Musa Kamara kumandi Musa Kamara nata commissioner so kumandi momodu so kumandi momodu so ye police sol kumbembe ngani tata kasamas ka momuta nan kana fani yafo wala ko kula mi yalon ko ite tolma ko ita dunia bela ko to nyani tin wotege so what alta wolle muta na ali wol muta fal pareta ali wol nyinin ka kula min be den din police sol la sayala and then ali babu jem fana muta ali babu jem nyinin ka babu jem muni atinne ko usenu bojan be do wala UDP la wala atele hudi do min fenko ite osude nyaadi la where is the evidence? So if you arrest these people that I am mentioning, you will actually know who actually killed the cops, including the 3 military witnesses, because in every proper investigation momin koyoko aketantela nyala and then he perfectly depict the characteristics of a shooter, you will know who actually committed the crime. What are UDP ko nte balo kono to diala minna wala nyende ko alal hakilo to police ol alal hakilo to police ol to ka to police ol, they are out there to criminally connive to frame you and no nisa momo so no atolo ko nebe kula lalal kami yalon ko tonya ntino motije, and they will go to court to prosecute you on their lies and fabrication and probably incarcerate you on those lies and fabrication. So what a momi mbuko babu jenali protest wala ku ko ten on organize nali wajeje alal hakilo to wato mo kurumbalo mati babu jemmo mo kurumbaleti ñino mo kudi mimbe sodori babu jemmo mo kurumbaleti amam mo hate Gambia min tambita UDP la that guy na sa UDP be tumbun no be wala kala kato mo kurumbala mati mo tapale bala mati an bara nyum masa kundala job yata dunia be intana no masa kundala minji because ita bola pati min to mi yalon ko ita bota je wolle ta keno man sadi tala man sa kundai police lo faya murum pour ko lo tumi wala ite mo so do mi yalon ko mo police lo de wonyanta tilimo nin to nyala tamand la Gambia no be tema wala tata police kunda ka fo ko hanga ka rasute la be UDP la be no nyum court case dula la dunta jabora jam police lo la nyaton ko finje press conference to Kafania. Now we know the liars, we know the people who were criminally conniving, we know the people that were after this whole thing. Go and arrest them. Because initially we were giving you the benefit of the doubt and directing you to the direction where you need to go. But now we are mentioning names to you. Alta koroka baro muta, Adam baro bari muso. Alta ale mama jabi muta. Nala bota wadale Musa Kamara fana muta me yalon ko wolum president bari noti nala bota wadale a commissioner of anti-crime fana muta nala bota wadale babu jam muta ale ta o soldier sabo muta nala wala muta plus the ballistic examiner, then you will know who actually did what. Namaro ko simple limbalati de. That is a very simple thing to do. Why will you not do that? What are you hiding? What exactly is the government hiding? Because now, it's very simple to verify this. Anybody could do it. I'm not sure how that is done in the Gambia. I'll tell you, Commissioner Sola Nombalini, on the day of that incident, go and print out his call logs. You will see what exactly I'm talking about. Go to whatever the GSM operator is, Alta Korkabarola call logs will print out. You would see the calls he received from Mama Jabi. If anybody could do it, go and take commissioner of anti-crime la nombali ajibe Musa Kamara ya komandi wati jumale and the number of calls that was actually going on between Atene Musa Kamara and Korka Barrow. Many alonko wolmo president wala blood relations lati. So wale atina Barrow coming out to tell us that atel lata la ko sino wo janne yake amanke ka lata la de aya lon na ko jalo le singo be fora on kan la dimba ya le dabeje wole kulo nyinkota. And this is what Lamin J. Dabo was trying to tell you, that of course the direction of this case in its totality, we know what happened. We know what happened is simply because Mama Jabi Korkabaro ning Musa Kamara ning Commissioner Soning Ibu Soning Babu Jengning Mo Kotangol Niwo Sojar Sabol something Arjaju ni Mo Kotangol. While they know what happened in this case, go and arrest them. Any other name that we will mention here, but I mean Tata and Ara, these are the people that actually committed this atrocity, who knew something about it and who are criminally complicit in it, and they need to be investigated thoroughly. And then with technology now, it's very easy to do that. You go get your call logs and you're able to tell who said what and who did what, and who contacted who and why they contacted them at this particular time. Because one thing we know is, in the totality of the evidence before the court, Hana Altara Fraunalaya as an appeal court, he will never convict this person because the judge made no single mistake and he omitted nothing and he overlooked nothing. He actually did everything in detail and made sure that Kuku Nyanda Fintila Nyunkorobe Fintiji. But we know Useno did not do it, but we want to know who really did. And now we are investigating within the system to tell you that there are people, many alonko, you know, we literally might say one or two things about them, but a molle beje mini alonko, wale kulonje. So what a police will normal laughing albe killing to Kumanina, including, you know, this Kafanya witness protection officer. Something Jaju, I forgot his first name. Atela Tata Usienu Kanka Usienu convinced, trying to cajole him to agree to the crime that he has not committed. Imagine a police witness protection officer ita ka mo convince ka fo ko hani sonda nyina maybe nyato mebula la taninte puro ka wo sondi ko convince puro wo songwala o man songwala. But there were also people who were beating this dude, forcing him to agree to something he knew nothing about. Of course, keeping him in handcuff in a cell, and of course flogging him, you know, compelling him, forcing a confession that never existed for him to agree to something he knew nothing about, simply because the president's nephew called the boss of anti-crime to actually go and arrest this person for pulling Nyantakela. Somebody who works at DRA who is not a security personnel is the person who would call the police to go and arrest somebody. Yamurun Kotange seasoned investigators were sidelined in this whole thing because they sent Kumpulola, sent Affairla, sent, you know, Jeffinla, and all they wanted to do is to hide everything and go and lie to the public. Now the public knows the truth. And then for you, you think that at the end of the case, people will shut up. We will continue to investigate and interrogate and bring to light the people who perpetrated this crime. And there will come a day we will mention the exact names of the persons who actually pulled the trigger. But for now, we will give you the framework and the chain and the mode of operandi of this whole mission and who actually masterminded it and how the framework came about. The framework was masterminded by the people that the UDP was complaining about in their way to actually, you know, counter the United Democratic Party. They fabricated this entire script. Kafoko how bao UDP kol bentolle toku yakang alim fananga kunye mi yalon kombela party burukala wala kang. So babu janni mo kotangol de wulita nyinko wala anda telo mo follow de mi yafoko useno bo janne hudi dung Babu Janne over. And Babu Jan is one of the leading PIU officers in the Gambia. How do you think justice will be done here? You know, people who have, you know, money and power. You want to taki motola jaye fa police ole kaito dada ye dingol bondi Gambia samba American in black. We've seen the drug cases in this country. We know how criminal and banditry, you know, issues that the current, Minister of Interior is involved in. Mole be lonne adama ya lonna mimbe kere nyimbanko ka timbir tilimbalia ni tapalia mimbe imbanko ka adama la lonka tambinte ni tebeti. So the people that actually understood how criminality worked would understand that there is no way Mama Jabi would claim that I got a person who confessed to the killing. Mama did not call any other person. He called the president's sister. And the president's sister did not call anybody. She called her son. Her son did not call anybody. She called, anti-crime la boss. Anti-crime la boss did not do any contacts. He mobilized a few boys and went to Casamas and got Hussein. Came back and lied to the entire nation. Now they put up an investigation panel. We, the Gambian people, are demanding to see that investigation report. We want to know on the basis of what did the police tell all they told Sankare, because then and there, many bay for wala nyanta arrest la nyumbang and be investigated thoroughly. I think we need to have a mini TRRC on the matters relating to the killing of the cops. Then we will know where the facts are if the government is serious. Because bring in, the former DIG, so Yashin the tablo can mobe nyabala camera back. I can't go DIG, Italo Karam Rebel, Tafonia by Yabon Muntole. Italo Kabedu, Bricama area council, Yabon Muntole. Italo he was at the court case with, Gone Yabon Muntole. But it will be Tata, not a Babu Jene will be for. So what a Gambian call, Allah Jatabala will get him in Lara Polisola. Near Koko Kela Dabe Kunkanye. But know that these are the criminals in the police force. And when you say anti-crime, well, they should be anti-crime. But these are the masterminds of criminality in the country. So how can the boss or the chief of anti-crime become the master of crime in the country? So to start with. That guy need to be fired, you know, and then of course arrested and interrogated on matters relating to this case. Babu Jeng need to be dismissed, arrested and investigated into this matter. Ibu Sow need to be fired, arrested and investigated into the matter. DIG Sow need to be arrested, investigated into the matter. The current interior minister need to be, you know, sacked, arrested and investigated into the matter. Pata Jallo and Babu Jeng, who were the main persons that the UDP was complaining about, need to be arrested and of course interrogated into this matter. That way we will see that the government is serious and probably knew nothing about it. And Barrow need to arrest his own family members and of course be interrogated and, you know, investigated into this matter. It is the very simple thing to do. This is one of the simplest cases to actually address. One of the straightforward cases to determine what exactly happened is this case. This is not complicated, it's not complex. Every Gambian. For now, we will not get the truth. But one thing I would tell is that be careful of dealing with these persons I'm naming. Mo kurumbalo, tapale balo. But I along kukilin de wale alakanande. And for say when you miss Okandera because Babu Jeng was at that protest in Bruford. Commissioner Sow for whatever reason was there. But now I'm mal shooting on Juna la wale atinna. And then you people should not be watched in this country just like that. But in its entirety, the few people that need to be arrested in this matter is this commissioner of anti-crime. The people that need to be arrested on this matter is the president's sister, is Mama Jabi, is the president's nephew. The people that need to be arrested include the people that claim to have done that, because we need to see the investigation report. And then all the investigators should actually be called to questioning to tell us what came out of the investigation. And Yalonoko, within themselves, they know what the facts are. And with the Malakanyo Jibio can told the Mali alone into Nyavedame. But police or police or fintinola kafoko moro ketadi. But some of us who have the time to look into this matter effectively, we would basically look at it from okay, karanyo letara nyundula, muni etolisi nyundula, karle karo komande, because we've got all your call logs and everything. Everything that has to do with this case, we know who called who during the period, even during the investigation. Most of the Gambia people, I wouldn't say they're not smart, but they are. They probably don't understand that criminal investigations are widenly as you go. So we were able to determine that, okay, this is who DIG Sow was calling. This is basically the person that was calling Commissioner Sow. This is the person who was actually calling the president's nephew. This is the person who was actually calling this person. And then if you look at it in totality, look at the history of the persons who were shot dead. When did they start putting them at Sukuta traffic light? Where were they before being put at Sukuta traffic light? Why were they put at Sukuta traffic light? And who put them at Sukuta traffic light? Why only 3 police constables at Sukuta traffic light? Inexperienced people. Why a Pata Jallo put on Sukuta traffic light? Why did Babu Jeng turn around? Muna nama Babu Jeng tolon dige. Muna nama Babu Jeng tolon dige. Irara Pata Jallo tolo because ibate nimba Pata Jallo la kuofoka. But Babu Jeng na fango UDP kollo. Choro UDP kollo ala hakilo to Babu Jeng do mo kendente. Babu Jeng da manten o Pata Jallo fango miyara is AI jalal hakilo to ato mo kendente. But today I will just hold it there and I will not actually go any further because we know the people and we will gradually bring them forward. Now, the next is we will bring you the list of the people who actually went with, Commissioner Sow to Casamas. Because Kabiri Yenyinika Kitimono, they refused to bring those names because those names are important because one thing is we were going to subpoena all of these individuals to court to come and tell us how they arrested this person and on what intel did they arrest him and what they were told when they were arresting this person and the claim of their boss that this person confessed to him that if there was at any point that him and their boss were just lonely in a vehicle, which is impossible. And again, you don't interrogate a suspect at the point of capture. All that you got to even tell this person is you have the right to be silent, because anything that you might say could be used against you in a court of law. So to claim that you started interrogating that person in your vehicle and then you were part of the entire investigation. Ima foko investigation dula aya fonya waleto bareko kabidita nakabona kasa masita la motoko. Na I mean for ala ila motoko nakabona kasa mas. Muna na mo for investigation dula. Tilimbalian in tajirin tiala benyun kokono. So what mini alonko yato le dingolofa. Alanya tilim polisola. Alanya tilim polisola liye nyini ka jumale na dingolofa. No muna atina le tonya ni ale tonya na tap nakari nyin kodo. Muni atina le tonya tan ofo nyin kodo. You people are worse than yaya jam. Atolo nyom mo jawolo ning hasido ning criminal ol fa nena maje dunia dlat. But the president is well aware. He knew what happened. His family is involved. They are not innocent. In one way or another, they contributed to the whole scheme of it. Abare no ikulo nyin kodo. Abare muso ikulo nyin kodo. It only named Mama. Mama is the darling of the regime. And that is why Mama will not be arrested and the police will not do any investigation on this matter. The police don't care. The IGP doesn't care because he's the president's, brother-in-law. But I told them, Malo, Lumbe Sila, we will basically know what the truth is. But for the United Democratic Party, be careful of these folks. Be careful of the PIU. Be careful of the leadership of the anti-crime. Be careful of Babu Jeng, to be specific, and be careful of Commissioner Momodu Sow. Be careful of Ibu Sow, former DIG, over police. But be careful of all these folks who are within. Police are not short of investigators who have the ability to conduct impartial investigation and bring perpetrators to justice. But within the framework of things, they deliberately committed this crime and they did not want any investigation to happen. And they will sit on it as long as this regime continues to be. So if we definitely want to know the truth and we don't want to be killed like little, rats in the street, we got to vote out this government and make sure that, of course, justice is established in this country. So the police actually know everything about the killing of their own men, and it is the police whom the UDP were complaining about who actually masterminded this entire scheme. So wale nyanta arrest la and then be questioned on what they knew about this matter. Na almang Babu Jeng la arrest. Almang Commissioner Sow arrest. Almang this other guy, what is his name again? DIG Sow arrest. Almang Korka Barrow arrest. Almam Musa Kamara arrest or almol dahandi nalni wandi dingol min yalon kalka wul yafo ila wululali nalni bendal sa fo ko mimbe kere. So nyinam ko de mi yalon ko we actually want the chronology of events is that Mama Jabi called Korka Barrow, who is basically the president's sister, and Korka called Musa Kamara mi yalon ko is the president's nephew, and Musa called Momodu Sow mi yalon ko ateno anti-crime la bosti. Momodu Sow did not professionally involve the right personnel to actually, do whatever need to be done. He mobilized Aladdin Walmini Alonko. They were sneakily just picked up, and then of course they went to Casamas and picked Usainu Boja and brought him, and then they continued their lies fabrication until the day today. Abu Koloko, during that period, this Musa Kamara was literally a police, police or lucky, IGP. He was directing Momodu Sow as per what to do and how to do it. So what this Momodu Sow of anti-crime need to tell us what his relation with Musa Kamara is, and why Musa Kamara was giving him commands, and why Musa Kamara was the person telling him what to do, and why Musa Kamara was with them all throughout that process, taking Usainu to the crime scene. We need to know. And we also need to arrest the head of operations at the prisons. Minko, he got CCTV footages, and for CCTV footage. So that person, is it he needs to be arrested. So all of these persons that I am naming, Lamin Sow, head of operations at the prisons, Korka Barrow, the president's sister, Musa Kamara, the president's nephew, Momodu Sow, anti-crime, Mama Jabi, of course Babu Jeng, Pate Jallo, I think he's the head of operations at the police, the 3 military witnesses, the ballistic examiner. You arrest them, you know who killed the cops. Hala Baraka.